Sripada Srivallabha Charithamrutham, Chapter 41. The story of a sannyasi. Sri Bhaskara Shastri told us that Sripada Srivallabha is an embodiment of Maha Saraswati, Maha Lakshmi, Maha Kali, and Sri Rajarajeshwari. The feminine nature of Sripada can only be comprehended by the sadhakas who make regular and disciplined worship. I heard that there are 4 types of speech, namely Para, Pashyanti, Madhyama, and Vaikhari. I asked Sri Bhaskara Shastri to give some explanation about them. Sri Bhaskara Shastri said Goddess Ambika is expressed through every speech. She speaks through every person and speaks within every individual. The speech which is heard outside is called Sthula Vak. The speech that is not heard outside but within can be perceived only in the lip movement is called Madhyama Vak. The speech that is subtler than Madhyama Vak is called Vaikhari Vak. The speech that stands in the throat and comes up to the mouth without coming out but remains in the midway and moves about in the mind is called Pashyanti Vak. The speech that is still subtler and dwells in the navel only as an intention is called Paravak. Ambika is worshipped as Tripura Bhairavi. She is the preceding mother of the 3 attributes, 3 worlds, the 3 Trinity and the 3 states of existence. She makes Tripti as her Tripura and rules over the 3 worlds. When we have devotion and make total self-submission and take complete refuge in her, no harm will be done to us even when we encounter hostility from this world or from invisible worlds. Hostile forces are not limited only to the physical world. We have states of existence such as states of life force of physical plane and of spiritual plane related to the spiritual seekers, mental sthara of the inner self. There are different worlds as accordingly. If we were to develop inadequately, then we can live in those worlds just as we are living in the physical world. If a man wants to progress well, he should primarily possess devotion and also with a strong faith. Devotion means acceptance with complete belief. Confidence has to be gained through experience. We then must live on the basis of that confidence only. We should always have confidence that help will certainly come during times of need. If we have a sense of security along with confidence, then it becomes self-confidence. Knowledge without strength leads to inaction. Strength without knowledge becomes blind and leads to destruction. Therefore, we need to be liberated from the bounds of the nature through knowledge. Then we must attain perfection by the grace of Shakti. Shakti must have the permission from knowledge. In the path of Sankhya, consciousness is called as a male and nature is called as the female. In the lower planes, there is conflict between these two. Consciousness does not perform action. Nature has no knowledge. Creation occurs only when these two combine. They both have a handicap. If you look at consciousness, it is a lame. If you look at nature, it is blind. To demonstrate that blindness and lameness exist in the world, a blind brother and a lame brother were born in the family in which Sripada was born. These births represent the fact that consciousness is lame and the nature is blind. At the higher planes, the consciousness and nature is called as Ishvara and Ishvari. There is no conflict between the two at the higher planes. When Sripada thought that the proper time had come, he completely removed the lameness and blindness of his brothers. He had done this only as an indication of the great grand program that will be undertaken by him for the eradication this kind of lameness and blindness. In the transcendental state, the consciousness and the nature are called Brahman and Maya. The inner meaning of his leaving the house during his 16th year and partaking from the family and wandering about as an ascetic was to declare himself as Brahman, and in the same way as also as Maya, the Shakti that brings limitations to the Brahman, who is unlimited and who is infinite attributes, is Maya. His birth in Pitikapuram indicates that in spite of being boundless essential nature of Brahma, he worked within the limitations subjected by Maya. It was made clear from that after 16 years he was not a prisoner of Maya anymore, and that he would be the limitless essential nature of Brahman. He is the highest essence who incarnated for the upliftment of the devotees. In the lower level, nature appears to be strong. To illustrate this, many controversies, discussions, and difficulties brought about by nature in Pitikapuram are to be found in his bibliography of Sripada. Later, in the middle plane, Purusha, the male, and Prakriti, the nature, are equals. In this state, there were some non-believers and people who created problems. Similarly, there were people who recognized him as an incarnation after having different experiences and gaining confidence. At this stage, leaving Pitikapuram, Maya remained merged within him. He very clearly declared that he was an incarnation of Parabrahma, and then display his sportive play of divine incarnation extensively. Since the atmosphere in Pitikapuram was not suited for that, he left Pitikapuram. When his glory spread all over the globe at some time in the coming centuries, wisdom will also dawn to the residents of Pitikapuram according to his will. In this complete expressed state, his divine power of consciousness will remove the lameness of human consciousness and the blindness of nature. When I asked Sri Bhaskara Shastri under which circumstances Sripada left Pitikapuram, he said, "The divine leelas of Sripada are beyond imagination of the common man." Once a sannyasi came to the Kukateshwara temple. He was a devotee of Datta. He offered to initiate people into Datta worship. He announced that if Datta Diksha was observed for 40 days, all the wishes would be fulfilled. The Brahmin community in Pitikapuram also accepted Dikshas. He received large amounts of Dakshina. He gave some part of the collected amount to the Brahmins who took Diksha from him. Brahmins told the people of other castes that they should also take Diksha from the sannyasi and give him generously donations to fulfill their lives. Unable to discard the words of Brahmin, many people received Diksha and gave large amounts to the sannyasi as Diksha. In the meanwhile, discussion started whether all can take Datta Diksha. A combined meeting of the assemblies of Brahmins, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas were held. It was presided over by Sri Bapanaraya. Sri Bapanaraya remarked, "Sri Datta belongs to all. All can take Diksha. Therefore, all the castes can receive Diksha from the sannyasi. Opportunities for taking Diksha should be given to all people." The majority of the members in the assembly of Brahmins said, "Sir, Brahmins, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas adhere to religious observance. Therefore, they can receive the Diksha. Shudras are irreligious. Therefore, they should not receive the Diksha. We can only accept Dakshina from them and uplift them with our power of penance." Then Sri Bapanaraya expressed his opinion, saying, "Religious and irreligious people exist in all castes. It is difficult to decide who adheres to strict religious observances and who does not follow the strict religious observances. Therefore, keeping the prosperity and welfare of the entire society in view, we can hold Datta Homa or other sacrificial rituals and programs to obtain the welfare for the entire society. I feel that simply receiving Dikshas from Sudras and denying Dakshina to Shudras is unjust. If we receive Dakshina and uplift Shudras with our power of penance, we can similarly uplift the remaining Brahmin, Kshatriya, and Vaishya caste as well. If it was so, there is no need to give special Diksha to people of particular caste. Not only that, a large amount was fixed as Dakshina. Poor people exist in all castes. They cannot give such large amount of dakshinas. Poor people who labor to earn food will have to starve for many days after giving such heavy amounts of dakshina. Dakshina should be given voluntarily. That which is offered accordingly to one's capacity and with pressure should only be accepted as dakshina. Then only Datta will feel happy. The Brahmins raised objection stating, even though we happen to be Brahmins, when the great Paramahamsa Parivarjaka came to our village, we did not even welcome him with a Purna Kumbha and Vedic mantras. Not only that, when he offered to give Dattamala Diksha for the welfare of all the people, the assembly of Brahmins is displaying an indifferent attitude. It is really shameful. Then Bapanaraya said, if the visitor is really a Paramahamsa Parivarjaka, there are certain formalities to welcome him. A few days before his arrival, he should pass on the information about his visit through his main disciple to the Brahmin assembly here. Then the Brahmin assembly will take their complete details into account and will carry on discussion about Shastras with the main disciple. Thereby, the proficiency of the main disciple in the Shastras will be known. Then the assembly will come to a conclusion and will decide if the disciple belongs to a worthy Paramahamsa Parivarjaka. Afterwards, when the Paramahamsa Parivarjaka arrives, he will be accordingly welcomed with the chanting of Vedic mantras and with Purna Kumbha. After that, discussions on scriptures will be carried out with him. Then, following his suggestions, Yaga, Yagna, Diksha or discourse will be organized. Without any of these, Paramahamsa Parivarjaka came to the Kukateshwara temple. He immediately browsed about Datta Diksha with you. Did this not happen against our regulations? Sir, Sri Bapanaraya questioned. The Brahmins replied, this is not the time to discuss whether regulations were violated. Will you and your son-in-law Appalaraja Sharma receive the Dikshas and give the Dakshina? Sri Bapanaraya answered, we too take Diksha for the collective welfare of all and not for individual welfare, since we are not undertaking Diksha from the sannyasi. We are not going to give Dakshinas to him. If any of the Brahmin are prepared to take up Diksha from the sannyasi and offer Dakshina to him, they are at the liberty to do so. The Brahmin assembly will make decisions only about the matter concerning collective problems and welfare and not your personal Diksha, problems and solutions. Sri Bapanaraya affirmed disclusively. Sri Shresti and Varma also refused to receive Mandala Diksha from the ascetic. Neitherless, Brahmins, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas were given liberty either to take or not to take Datta Mala Diksha from the ascetic. Sripada gives Datta Diksha. There were some farmers who had devotion and care for Sripada. Along them, Venkaya was an important one. Sripada went to the house of Venkaya. He announced that he would give Datta Diksha and no one should be disappointed that they were unable to take up Dikshas from the sannyasi. In addition to it, He declared that Dakshina can be offered accordingly to one's own capacity. He also added the Mala Diksha was not required in his case and that it will be sufficient if Diksha was observed for one night. Sripada was in the house of Venkaya for one complete day and night. Sripada gave Dikshas to people of all 18 varieties of caste. Along those who took the Dikshas, there were some Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas as well. Sripada declares that he is Datta. This was the day when Sripada openly declared that he was Datta. That day happened to be a Thursday, which was very dear to Lord Datta. He gave his auspicious blessing to all those who received Diksha and made them perform bhajans. He declared that he was Datta. An elaborate program was waiting for him, and as soon as devotees remember him, he will be pleased and will fulfill their desires. On the early morning of the next day, that was Friday, Sripada went to the house of Sri Narasimha. There, Sripada was given ceremonial entombment. He accepted only banana and gave it to the cow in the house of Narasimha. Afterwards, he came to the house of Pindya Venkatappa Sresti. There also a ceremonial anointment was performed for him. There he received buttermilk and cream. He said that his devotees were calling him and that the time had come to leave Pitikapuram. Then he reached the house of his maternal grandfather, Sri Bappanaraya. There also he had the ceremonial anointment. He declared that he was verily Datta himself and that the form of Sripada Srivallabha was only a Maya form. The people suffering from troubles and patients dominating by diseases were calling him with agony and that it was time to declare clearly that he was Datta and commence the program of upliftment the world through his divine leelas. After that, he reached home. When the parents brought the subject of his marriage, Sripada said humbly, "Mother, I had already given darshan along with Anagha Lakshmi many times to grandfather Sri Sresti and Sri Varma. Many people witnessed the divine couple with their sportive plays roaming in the fields of Sri Sresti, in the farms of Sri Varma and in the mango groves. Look here, see my form combined with Anagha Lakshmi. Look at this divine, glorious and auspicious form of mine. I told even at the time of my arrival in guise of an Avaduta that I would leave the house if the matter of marriage was brought about. After giving vision of that auspicious form, he touched his brothers. By the ambrosial look of Sripada, the physically handicaps of his brothers were removed. Sumati Maharani and Appala Raja Sharma remained motionless. They were unable to speak anything. In the meanwhile, his maternal grandmother Rajamba, maternal grandfather Sri Bappanaraya, Sri Prindya Venkatappa Sresti and his wife Venkata Subbamma, Sri Narasimha Varma and his wife Amma Jama came there. He spoke with all of them very cordially, smiling blissfully. Then Sumati Maharani remarked, "My dear one, you are saying that you are departing after repaying all debts, but the debts for milk from Pindya Venkatappa Sresti, Vastavya Raja and Malladi family cannot be redeemed by you." Disappearance of Sripada. Sripada said to his mother, "Mother, I am not denying what you say. As long as these three families do not forget me, I will not forget them. Even if they forget, I will remind them of me. Even by encouraging them, I will take their services and give them good results. I will take meals in someone's house belonging to your parents' family in every generation. However, I will not take dakshina. I know that your family of birth will regard me with affection as their nephew. I will also respect this human relationship and behave like a dutiful nephew. What more do the family of your parents want? Then turning to his father, he said, in our Gandhikota family, Vedas will remain for very long time. Both my brothers will become good Vedic scholars. As long as Gandhikota family will not forgive me, I will also not forgive them. Sridhara Sharma will be born in one of his birth as a great person named Samartha Ramdas. Narasimha Varma will be born as Chhatrapati Shivaji. At that time, Samartha Ramdas will act as a preceptor of Shivaji, and in this way the connection of priesthood between the two families will get well established. Ramaraja Sharma will take birth under the name of Sridhara and will become a great yogi. A great Sansthan in my name will be established at Pitikapuram by the lineage of disciples of Sridhara. On bound of indebtedness with Sri Pandya Venkatappa Shastri will be strengthened. Not only that, but the Vastavya family people will come afterwards. Thus, Sripada assured. The Savitapana was recited. Sripada regarded Vedas as his life. While recitation of the Vedas was happening, he disappeared. All the people there were watching. Here we come to end of Sripada Srivallabha Charithamrutham, chapter 41. Om Sai Ram.